Hello and welcome to the wrestling thing that may...
Oh, let's get ready to rumble!
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's this is Cleglock.
Howdy, partners.
And I'm Hemp, and this episode we're going to discuss some of the best and worst finishers from what we think.
Submission finishers.
Submissions.
Submissions. I think we should do this time.
Yeah.
We can take them apart.
Play that intro, fool.
Play that funky music, white boy.
Hello, and once again, welcome to one of our ringside chinwags.
Chinwag.
With me.
Wag your chin.
With me, Hemp, and Cleglock.
Me, Cleglock.
This episode, as I've already said, we're going to discuss some of the best and worst finishers that we find in wrestling. It's not a list, it's not a definitive top 10 or worst 10 or anything like that. Just another rambling.
But if you disagree with us, you can kiss my ass.
Yeah, then we will pole drive you straight to hell.
That's not one of the finishers though, because we're going to do submissions this time round, I think.
Yeah, submissions it is. What we're going to start with, some of our best submissions.
Do the best ones first.
We're not even looking at what we've written down before, and just to you personally, what's your favourite submission?
My favourite, probably, it has to be the Walls of Jericho. In respect that when he used to drop his knee on the back of the head, when the whole body was in the air, not where he's just sat on him and he's just got the legs bent and the belly are flat. I'm talking knee on the back of the neck, body up, knees at like a 45-degree angle,
it's like a
torqued.
A bow and arrow, and it turns you into
being completely crushed.
Yeah, now it's just a standing Boston crab, isn't it?
It's too dangerous for these new guys.
Yeah, the Walls of Jericho, that's surprising. I used to think it was alright, but even when it was proper knee in your back, I still thought it was just a glorified elevated Boston
I think
crab.
It was more how it was sold as well.
Yeah.
If he really looked like he was talking and he's got his knee on the back of your head, have you ever put somebody in one? Sorry to do this to you, Carl, but I've made my brother cry a few times with submission moves. They really were. Don't try it at home, kids.
See, that's why number one for me, or not number one, but the best of what you say. The best submissions are the ones that really hurt. The ones
that are sold as really hurting.
But then they do. So to me, it's the figure four. I think the figure four is absolutely.
It's probably the most iconic finisher. Submission finisher. I think
painful.
It is.
I think it's the most painful.
No, I think it's more iconic. I've been putting one.
If we were going by iconic finishers though, it'd be the sharpshooter in a way. So that isn't painful though. What I mean is the sharpshooter is a good move and it's awesome, but it's not legitimately painful. Whereas the figure four, it hurts.
But that's the same as the Walls of Jericho in the respect that if that's sold poorly, it's a terrible finisher. Like, I've watched The Rock put people in it. I've watched Sting put people in it. Best wrestler of all time, by the way. And I've watched it look like my mum could get out of it.
What's that, the sharpshooter?
The sharpshooter.
Have you seen Bret Hart? He says something about The Rock. And he's seen The Rock doing it. He's like, I don't mind that he does it, but he could have at least asked me how you do it, because he does it all wrong. But
this is what I'm saying. It's exactly the same as the Walls of Jericho. If it's sold wrong, it looks terrible. With the figure four is it looks quite easy to reverse.
Yeah, but you can turn it around, but it hurts, is what I'm saying. In real life, it kills.
The crippler crossface.
Yeah,
that really hurts.
Yeah. That's next. That's another one we've written down.
That's the main one that I remember making my brother cry with, because he tapped out and I just didn't let go, and he went and grassed on me to my mum.
to the CEO.
To the fuzz.
to Mr. McMahon of your house.
Miss McMahon.
Yeah, that's Linda McMahon. Yeah.
Good. But yeah, if we're talking our favourite, the best move I think is the Walls of Jericho when it's sold properly.
Yeah.
The best one that I think all round, the crippler crossface.
Yeah, that's top. That's pretty much right at the top of my list.
Same there. That's number one. The crippler crossface. The toothless aggression of Chris Benoit.
Obviously, things have gone on with Benoit, and you can say what you want about personal things, but sticking to the world of wrestling, he was an incredible wrestler.
He wasn't your typical size guy that Vince McMahon enjoyed. He wasn't a giant. He was muscular, but he wasn't particularly big. But he carried himself with some of the best wrestlers that's ever been, really.
To me, this is it's good talking about submission and stuff. I love like the cruiserweight division and things like Dean Malenko and Jericho.
Yeah, but the classic cruiserweights.
Yeah, like and
of
Benoit
WCW.
as well. That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Like that to me is real wrestling. Like they went and studied real wrestling.
Yeah.
Like you could watch them. It doesn't matter if they've done a finishing move. They could wrestle for half hour without doing a single finishing move and still have an interesting match. But yeah.
But the beginning of the matches as well, it was technical wrestling.
Yeah.
It wasn't, I'm going to come in, I'm just going to punch you as hard as I can and knock you against the ropes. It was going through the motions of putting on a show, battling each other for position.
Yeah.
But how
real
actual
match.
wrestling is.
Which reminds me of a Kenny Omega match that I've seen recently that I will force you to watch in my presence. But so the crippler crossface as a submission is highly rated by both of us. We think that is once again a legitimate. If you apply that in real life, that is going to hurt.
You're going to hurt somebody.
Obviously, you know, wrestlers do it so that it doesn't hurt and they sell it. But if you applied it in real life with real effort, it can really hurt you. That under the same bracket of the crippler crossface because it's essentially only one body part that's different. Has to be the rings of Saturn.
Yeah.
Like where it locks your arm in between the same, but instead of pulling your face back, you pull their other arm back, and that was pretty fucking nuts.
One of the most underrated wrestlers I think that's ever been.
Henry Saturn. When they give him the moped.
But that backfired on him. Yeah. Because it was a punishment, but that was his biggest gimmick, and people remember him for it now. And if you're a traditional fan, you feel sorry for him for how his career was, because he was completely underutilised. He was a great wrestler.
So best submission so far, we've talked about the sharpshooter, which awesome.
Yeah.
The figure 4/figure 8 I put in because have you seen? Is it Natalie? Is it Ric Flair's?
Natalie Flair.
Yeah.
Charlotte Flair, sorry.
Charlotte, that's sorry. My modern wrestling knowledge isn't all too great.
Too PG.
But that move, the figure 4, and then when she arches her back.
The crab on it.
Yeah, that's really clever. Like a cool play on it.
It's a gimmick.
It's a gimmick.
Because it's a dad's move.
Yeah. But it's, still, I think it's still decent. So we've had sharpshooter, figure 4/figure 8. We've talked about the crippler crossface.
So I want to throw a controversial one out there.
Go on then. As a good one.
The angle lock.
Well, I've got that down as a good finishing move because it's a legitimate one once again.
Trying in MMA, it's never applied like that. And if you put that on somebody in an MMA
you need to
match,
wrap your legs around them as well.
Not necessarily. You're never going to get somebody's leg that high up in the air and apply that much pressure with them just lying on the belly and screaming.
They're going to be kicking it.
They're going to roll back into it. But he was a commodity when he come in.
Yeah.
When Ken Shamrock come in, he brought the ankle lock with him first, and then when this Olympic wrestler come in and he put that move on you, it looked serious. It looked bad as well. The way he sold it and the way people had to limp around after.
That'll be a discussion for another day. Is that wrestlers that just come in and natural talents, like because Kurt Angle was an amazing.
Ken Shamrock was a clumsy wrestler.
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was a freak of nature in the respect that he'd come from that background, a dangerous background. But
I loved his feud with Steve Blackman. Do you remember Ken Shamrock's Steve Blackman feud?
He had the Lions Den.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. But Steve Blackman, I loved him, but he couldn't wrestle.
Neither of them could because they weren't
traditional
artists. Exactly. Yeah. They could throw a head kick.
They could fight. They could legitimately kick your ass. But when it comes to putting a show on, they were too serious almost.
Their bodies weren't designed for it. They were so used to going through the motions of grappling, actually physically fighting that they looked stiff. They didn't sell shots well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It was really awkward to watch some of their matches. Yeah. Then you get somebody like Kurt Angle who come in, who. That's
what you say about that ankle lock is that when he put the ankle lock on, he sold it. It was his expressions more than his actual.
He would Kurt Angle would lift your whole body up by your ankle. It looked believable when he put you in that move. For me, Kurt Angle always sold it a lot better.
Oh, we'll wrap up the best ones now because I think we're running into half the time. Well, I'll just go into my last one, and it's pretty much from that same cruiserweight weight that I love so much. And that is Dean Malenko's, which was the Texas Cloverleaf, which for some reason I love. I can't get enough of it.
It's no. the way you get put into it's majestic.
Yeah.
Almost. It's how has he put his body in that shape?
It's really clear. It's a funny way of describing it because it's true. Yeah, like he just.
With the figure four, there's a lot of moving around to put people in positions. With Dean Malenko, it was he got your one leg, put it in front of your other leg, and lifted you up, and all of a sudden,
yeah,
you were
you're
stuck.
in Hurtville, son.
Exactly. It just was. I know what you're saying about how that move was. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful move to watch and really awkward to try and.
It was like a sharpshooter without the leg through the middle.
It was like a sharpshooter combined with the figure four.
Yeah. It was nice. It was a nice move to watch.
It was a brilliant move to watch. It was very tricky to try and master at home on the sofa.
Right, that's just some of our best. We've got, like I say, we've got tons written down, but it's just too much to go into. So we'll just go through some of the worst ones. What about the worst finishing moves?
My least favourite finisher is by one of my favourite wrestlers. It's the mandible claw, the cobra strike.
Yeah.
First off, you don't need a sock to put your hand in my mouth. That's just even more gross. You're going to pull a sock out that's been down your pants.
Yeah.
And you're going to put it in my mouth.
I've seen quite a few wrestlers have that same opinion. Like pretty much.
Please do not put that sock in my mouth. And then what was his name? Santino Morales. When he come out with the Cobra Strike, he put the Cobra sock on and he literally just ripped Mankind's move off. But it wasn't anywhere. It was he was all gimmick. He wasn't
feeding off the nostalgia.
It was a terrible finisher. How the concept of putting somebody to sleep with that to me was terrible. But Mick Foley, the greatest wrestler.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Just a soldier.
Greatest showman. Like he's an awesome wrestler as well. Like
he was just a slave to the company.
He's just not a fool. It sounds like I'm being nasty about him. He was a fool to the degree of he's paralysed himself essentially for the good.
He ended his career.
Yeah.
That some of the moments that will always live for us is with Mankind.
To me, if you was going to epitomise what wrestling is, do you know what mine would be? Would be the "Do not try this at home" adverts.
And watching
Mick
Foley,
body's battered.
Watching Mick Foley getting thrown off the top of the Hell in a Cell and then jumping off the Hell in a Cell to throw an elbow.
Yeah, he's nuts, man. So,
but for how much of an amazing wrestler he was, he had an absolute terrible finisher.
Move, yeah.
It was terrible.
The mandible claw, man. I
Claw.
can't remember who it would have been. This would have been 70s, 80s wrestling. But as a finisher at least, but people did do it. They don't do it anymore. The single leg Boston Crab. What is that about? Why is that even a move? Like, grab the other leg. Do you know?
So, but in the same breath, that could have been turned into a great looking move if you'd have converted it into the old Walls of Jericho. If you'd have got a single leg and talked it up into the air and now on the neck, that would have looked painful. But if you're just going to sit on somebody's back and lift their leg up, if they're flexible, that's not really going to hurt.
Yeah.
I've watched contortionists get into that position without even flinching.
I've just took a little gander at your list, and I've seen that you've got the STFU on there. Why is that?
I just think it's a terrible looking move.
I used to love the because what is it? It's not the STFU. It's just the STU, weren't it?
Didn't they turn it into the STFU?
Yeah, for the edgy, shut the fuck up for John Cena.
John Cena is a
I used to love that move. Not by him, not John Cena doing it, but just the move itself.
I don't think it's what it should be. You're wrapping somebody's leg up and then you're lying on their back and pulling their chin back. Yeah. There's nothing to it, really.
But it's like the old Mexican submission moves. They're the ones I love. You remember like the surfboards and things like that?
Yeah, but they're in the same boat, really. For me. I appreciate Mexican wrestling. I think it's some of the lucha libre style is some of the hardest to master in wrestling, but I think some of the submission moves are just terrible. There's a reason they didn't finish people with them.
Yeah,
because they were terrible.
That is true.
So another one from a brilliant wrestler in his day, Lex Luger, the torture rack.
Yeah, terrible. I thought about it for a second to justify it, and then I was like, actually, no.
All you're doing, you're picking somebody up on your shoulders and just trying to pull their body together. But
arch it, arch it down,
but
on your back.
Unless they're enormous and you can get a real torque on them, it's not going to do anything. You're literally just holding them on your shoulders and just flapping them up and down.
Just giving them a back massage.
Do you know what I mean?
Rocking them to
Personally, I
sleep.
don't think it's a great finisher submission, but when you had a body like Lex Luger, you could sell it, you could pull it off.
Yeah,
That's why he got away with it so much. But if we're talking our own ideas, I thought it was a terrible submission.
Yeah.
The same as Mankind. I loved him, but I just thought his finisher was terrible.
That's what it is, and it's things that make crowd pop and things like that. And sometimes they're just as audience members that makes them pop. But us, it was just like what?
Lex Luger, good wrestler for the era, but he did have some terrible moves.
So there we go. Summarise best ones: sharpshooter, figure 4, figure 8, crippler crossface, rings of Saturn, cloverleaf, ankle lock. You love the walls of Jericho. Worst single leg Boston.
You've
Crab.
got single leg Boston Crab. I've got mandible claw.
Yeah.
That's my least favourite. Just because I can't see how you could sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
It's comedy value, and comedy.
You're putting your hand in someone's mouth and you're holding the jaw. That's literally what you're doing.
So there we are. That brings an end to our first real official episode of Cleglock. We need to come up with a name for this show.
Crash Test Dummies.
Ringside View. Crash Test Dummies is pretty cool. Well, we can discuss it another time. Anyway, peace, respect and harmony. Everybody love everybody. We need to think of a wrestling sign-off as well.
A wrestling sign-off.
Yeah. Join us next week, folks.
Nah, shit. Don't do that.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding.